It's always nice to have a guest in the studio, particularly if it's somebody very local who is doing some interesting stuff. Welcome indeed to somebody who writes books. This is Phil Mansell. Phil, good afternoon.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing well, thank you very much.
Good. So you write stuff, but you also illustrate as well. How long have you been doing this?
Oh, writing and drawing is something I think I've always done ever since I was very small. But it's only recently I've thought about doing it in book form.
Okay. So what comes first? Because, I mean, as I say, you're obviously very good at the illustrating. I mean, I'm looking at the copy of, I think this is your latest book, isn't it? Uncle Mungo and the Great Wallaby Painting Contest.
Uncle Mungo and the Great Wallaby Painting Contest. Yeah, it's a children's book, which I've just self-published on Amazon.
Okay. So what comes first? I mean, as an artist, the visual or the story?
Generally, I write the words first.
Okay.
And this one, I about a year ago, I started to write it. And I started to write it for my little granddaughter, Maddie. And it's taken about a year to get to this stage where it's just been published. But I did the words first, scribbled them down in a book,
right,
typed them up, revised them, edited them, gave them to my wife Caroline, who's my editor,
right,
and she makes sure there's never a comma out of place, and she edited it. And then when it was at that stage, I thought about doing all the pictures for it.
Okay. So you say you've been writing for a long time, yeah?
Oh yes, I've always written as far as I can remember.
So how did it start when it comes to actually publishing stuff?
Well, it seems to be the way that things are going now with self-publishing on Amazon, either as an e-book or in paperback, which is what mine is. And it's a lot of authors are doing this as a way to get their work out there. It is quite complicated, but there are various videos and templates to help you through the whole process. And I downloaded several templates and tried them. My book was a bit complicated, of course, because it had the extra edition of all the illustrations, which I had to work into the layout. But there's a lot of help out there, but it took me a long time, and I made a lot of mistakes. Had to go back to square one and start again with the layout and get the pictures right, make sure they were all the right size. But once you do it, and then you get your proof copy in your hands, it's an incredible sense of achievement. And then you check it out, and I did that with the proof that they sent me, and I made a few changes, things I didn't like, didn't look good actually in book form. Made some changes, then pressed the publish button, and there it was on sale on Amazon.
I mean, this is all very sort of modern and new and high tech. I mean, I'm guessing not so very long ago you would have. I mean, how would you have done it? I suppose you'd have to send a sort of loads of sheets of paper with story into a publisher.
Oh yeah, you'd have to send probably the first sample chapters if it's a novel, or if it's a children's book, probably the whole thing with some illustrations. And you can either send them straight to a publisher or try and get yourself a literary agent. And they're inundated with work. So,
I'm sure they are.
And I feel that's why a lot of people have sort of gone down the self-publishing route.
Do you think this is a good thing?
What, self-publishing? I think it's brilliant. It's another way for people to get their work out there.
They always say there's a book in all of us. Why did you start writing? I mean, what was the motive behind your writing?
I think if you're a writer, you write.
Right.
And you get to the point where you think, I've got all these works, books, plays or whatever in my drawer. They're never going to get known if I don't start sending them out there. But I think if you're a writer, you just write.
So where does the inspiration come from? I mean, do you wake up one sunny morning and suddenly have a story in your head? Or is it triggered by something you've seen in the news or an event that's happened in your life?
It can be either of those things, or it can be a lot of other things. Sometimes, recently I was out with some friends, and the woman said something, and immediately I thought, there's a play there. Just one line.
Okay.
And I've written that play now.
Right.
But it's anything can trigger it, and the ideas are out there, all above us, everywhere.
So the original idea, you said you've got drawers of writings and stuff. Was the original idea, I'll just jot down some diary notes so I remember stuff, or did you have a story in your head and just have to write it?
With Mungo?
Well, with any of them. I mean, in the early days, particularly, before you thought you could self-publish or even any kind of publishing, was it I'm going to write this story, or, it's just some notes for future reference or something?
I generally wrote the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Was it always your intention to self-publish or publish in some form?
Well, when I first started, there was no such thing as self-publishing. There was a thing called vanity publishing, which you had to pay for. But I knew that was a con, so I never went down that route.
Right.
But no, it was just I had to write the story down, and then having written it, I would leave it for a while, do the overnight test at least, go back to it after a while, and then you reread it and revise it, and you just think, well, this is as good as some of the other stuff that's out there. I might as well try and get it published.
Okay, we shall come back and chat some more. This is our special guest, Phil Mansell, who lives here in the Orba Valley. Was talking about paperback. Sounds like a cue for a song to me.
Paperback writer.